Hey guys, and welcome to another First Impressions video, the video game series in which we look at a recently released game and I give you my first thoughts and impressions on it. Today we're looking at Stern, which is a side-scrolling sci-fi RPG which has some interesting elements and some mixtures of different genres. However, the execution in my opinion isn't that great, but we'll look into why later on. As always, we'll look at the options first before diving into the gameplay, so let's get to it. Alright, the options. First thing I want to say is how not like the rest of the aesthetic it is. And I don't know why games are starting to do this, where they make the aesthetic of everything else look really good. And then you go into the options and it looks like it's just been pasted on there. It's not the first game I've come across that does this. And honestly, it's really disappointing and quite jarring from the rest of the experience. The actual options that they have here aren't too bad. You've got your resolution, windowed mode, it does start in borderless, feasting color off, max FPS, your resolution scale, and then all of your other different sort of quality settings. Didn't even realize there was motion blur on the game. It's not very apparent, so you probably don't have to worry about that for the first time ever. Interestingly enough, if you leave it on auto detect, it actually set it to 16:9 resolution instead of 1920x1080, and it's got this weird auto apply which you can't actually turn off. I'm assuming that if you turn the auto save off and then put the auto apply off, then you can apply manually, but it's a really weird setting that I'm assuming is meant to save time, but it didn't because it just really confused me. Your inputs, which are obviously your controls and stuff, look like they can be rebound, and the controller does work a little bit, but it's not finished. It looks like it needs some more work there. Your audio, master, music and sound effects. Now everything is on full, and unfortunately that really does detract from the experience. Again, when you go through the first intro scene, the first thing you notice is that the voice acting isn't unnecessarily great, although that might just be a language barrier in that the person that is reading the sound effect, the sound over the voice acting, isn't English nationality by default, and that sort of makes it a bit jarring. That aside, you also get a really loud soundtrack behind it, which makes it even harder to hear him. On top of which, the text that scrolls along the bottom, the subtitles, aren't in sync with the voice acting that's going on. So you just get really nauseous trying to listen to it and follow and see what the story is. What I was able to grab is that it's a post-apocalyptic world where something went wrong and a soldier has gone in and doesn't want to do what he's been told, I think. But that's enough of the options. Let's jump into the game and see what the gameplay's like, shall we? Alright, we're in the game. You are this soldier here. You have a pistol with your left click that goes wherever you point your mouse, and honestly, it's kind of annoying because you can't always see where your mouse cursor is, and you have a melee on your left click. The idea is that you can go through, burst through doors, shoot people and kill them in order to get, I'm assuming, XP and other cool stuff. You've got numerous different floors, which I really like. So even though it's side-scrolling, you can go below deck and you can also find your way above deck. The writing in this game isn't fantastic and the story is a bit hard to follow outside of the initial introduction. In that you get options, right? It's gone down the RPG route. So you get options that you can choose from in the dialogue, but they don't really make any sense. And when I say that, what I mean is that you'll look at the story, you'll read it, and then you'll go to do what it tells you to do. And the options you get are just so extreme that you look at it and you're like, but I wouldn't do either of these options. These options are not what I would do. And they've thrown in some like offensive language and stuff like that just because apparently it's the thing to do. It just seems like it's there to be edgy and not there because it actually helps the story grow at all. The world, however, is really cool. I really like this sort of side-scrolling but subterranean sort of way that you go around into all these tunnels. The map is not helpful at all, to say the least. And you do get shops and stuff that you can spend currency at to improve how it goes along and how it works and stuff like that. Enemies, there are a fair amount of them, and there are different types and stuff, which is kind of cool. But you do take a lot of damage from a lot of things, and some of this contrast and stuff where you can't really see what's going on isn't fantastic. It doesn't bode well. On top of that, the combat is pretty dull. It's just point and click at what you want to do. You've got your quick actions, so you've got a grenade, a turret, etc., which you can use, but it's not very engaging. All in all, it's not like a terrible game, but it's not one that I could see myself playing for a long amount of time, just because honestly, outside of the cool world and looking and seeing what you can do in that cool world, it's kind of boring in its core, and that's not good. I love the aesthetic. The story could probably do with being a bit better, right? The story needs some work in order to make me feel sort of connected to the world and sort of wanting to explore it and find out what's going on. But honestly, it depends what you're after. If you want a side-scrolling point and click with a guy that jumps higher than God, then this might be for you. I can fish, apparently. Am I going to die if I draw in there? I like the way that the screen comes up with different effects. When you go in water and stuff, you get the water that goes above the screen. That's pretty cool. So on the whole, it's not amazing. It's not, you know, brilliant. It's not groundbreaking. It's not overly difficult. Generally, when I've died, it's because of stupid reasons. There is some things that you got to worry about with terms to the world around you. Like, I got killed earlier by a big chainsaw thingy. But yeah, it's interesting. There's some different attributes. Apparently, we've got create and stuff. Like, you can do different things, but you need to find the materials in order to do it. And you get gems when you die, apparently. But again, there's nothing amazing with it. There's nothing like groundbreaking. It's all very incremental stuff. It's all very arbitrary type things. So yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not amazing either. There's not really much else to say. Like, the aiming is god awful. But there you are, it's Stern. Let me know what you think in those comments down below, guys. Is this something going to be worth your time? Is it something you would want to look at doing? Or is it not really all that great? Honestly, it's one that you could probably pass and not sort of blink an eye out. I'm certainly not a fan of the changing screen where it goes black and white. It's very hard to see, and I'm not really a fan at all. And then I died. So there you are. That's Stern. Let me know what you think in those comments down below, guys, and I shall see you all next time. Ciao, ciao.